So welcome to the second part of my video. Last video was rebating these, and now I'm going to rebuild them. These pieces of wood, they weren't brilliant, to be honest. My timber merchants leaves a lot to be desired, unfortunately. And these especially were really rather bad. They just would not go together, and I ended up having to use pieces of wood to try and fix them together. The main problem was that the wood itself, if you have a bow like that, kind of as the wood travels, it can be problematic. But these actually had a completely different problem, which was that they actually bent, the actual wood itself bent along the length, and that meant that there was no way of getting the whole length of the wood to fit together. In some places, which is where I've used for the longer pieces, it was actually quite good, but for some of the end pieces it was absolutely atrocious. I mean, I can fill these in with scraps of wood. It's not going to be a problem until you come to assemble it. And one of the problems when you come to assemble it, of course, is that because of that extra bit of height, it's a good 1 or 2 millimeters off. It's not problematic if you put that at the bottom, because I use an internal base anyway. It shouldn't make any difference, but at the top it's massively problematic, so I'm going to avoid using those. This is our top piece, it's got the rebate in it, so this is our top piece, so I'm going to use the best 2 ends I've got. Tools for kind of assembling this, really easy. Screwdriver, electric drill, hammer, glue. The longest nails you have. I don't go past these, I think 60 millimeters I think they are. I don't go past that, there's just no need. Everything I need to make will get held by 60s. And also a framing clamp. This is just to get alignment on there. But the first thing is just to drill through all these pieces. I forgot as well, I also use a countersink. It's not necessary with Reeser cutters. Reeser cutters tend to be fine, but I just use one out of habit. So these are our pieces. Probably stick that on the outside, to be honest. And all we're going to do is just drill 4 holes . They're all done. This is my countersink, so you just want to countersink them. So it's cold because the battery's nearly gone away. The joy of NiCads. Do make a combi countersink drill, which is great, so you can drill and countersink at the same time. Okay, that'll have to do. So that's all done there, and then all you're going to do is just get your piece. I'm going to clamp this off. so I can work with it. There we go. Now these are butt joints, so they're really, really simple. And all I want to do, I'm going to have to clamp it that way, I think, yeah. Which makes my top hole relatively inaccurate, actually. Then we'll have to re-drill that because it's too high. I'll just fill that with glue and sawdust when the time comes. So there we go. So that's all done there. And what we're going to look at doing is make it fit, make it flush at the bottom, not so flush at the top. The bees will often use this as an entrance if it's not flush, but a couple of passes with a plane, and that'll be as good as we can get it. This is going to be as thick as the other one's too thick anyway. Right, so that's fine. Okay, right, there we go. So all I'm going to do now is just get my clamp. You can use two if you feel the need. I've not ever really required the use of two as yet. Now if you do want to freehand this because you don't have a clamp available, what you want to do, I might be better demonstrate on the next one actually, but we've got plane to go over as well. So you'll tend to find that they'll be absolutely fine holding it from just one side. Okay, so I'll just quickly demonstrate this actually. If you were doing it completely freehand, then what you would do is you would hold it in position and you would just put your screw down there, and then all you'd do is just give it a couple of taps, and then you'd unscrew it so that you can remove the wood. You would then glue it so that the glue doesn't skid everywhere. When you then came back to do this, you should be able to, if you push it through a little bit, you should be able to align your screw holes with the actual holes in the wood. But that's not needed for us because we're using the clamp for registration. I feel this might happen, but my registration is slightly off on some of these pieces. There we go. Now I just need to pull this out a bit. There we go. So that's all done now. is massively off actually, more than I thought. So it's massively off that corner there, you can see. Probably going to use an electric plane for that, because a manual one will probably take me forever. It'd take me a good while. There's a knot there as well, which is going to cause no end of problems. So what I would probably do is just run down that with an electric plane a couple of times, just to even out these two corners. We'll probably end up with a similar situation at this end as well, and same principle, so just to even it out there as well. Just hoping to pop it underneath, but my table mounted router's going to get in the way there. Okay, so that's done there as well. So the same principle with this really. Right. And all I'm going to do is run along the outside of this. Now this one's a much nicer piece than all the rest put together, so it might not be as much of a gap as I'm expecting, but we'll see. Let's not quite go that far. Now the reason why I join the pieces together, I shouldn't have started that sentence, still finish this actually, is because of the difference in pricing. So in the UK, wood tends to kind of stick to certain things between about 100 mil through to about 200. So I think 100 mil is about 98p. Once you get to 150, it tends to be about 149, somewhere around that mark. And 2 meters tends to be about £2 a meter. So the kind of ratio stays the same. Once you get past that though, when you get to like 225 and upwards, suddenly it would become really expensive. I bought some, it was either 225 or 250, and it was £6 a metre, which is 4 times what 150 would cost. And I could have made the 300 myself, which is actually what I started doing. So that's why I do that, because you can buy more wood, which will get you a lot further, and for the same money, if you're willing to join it together. Running the biscuit jointer isn't really a hassle, and it's dead cheap. And the biscuits themselves are not particularly expensive either. Although you will be surprised by how many biscuits you actually can get through. Although I get a feeling my biscuit jointer might actually need some new brushes in it, but for the moment it works well. The motor might not thank me for that though, but it seems to do okay. Right, so let's have a little look at this and just see. Right, this one is completely different. I get the feeling that these were made out of two completely different pieces of pine, because this one is exactly the same width as these, and that one's off. So either that or there was a really big bend in this, which wouldn't surprise me. God bless my timber merchants, but they're cheap and cheerful. At least they're cheerful. I mean, I only ended up with this wood because it was a misorder. So what I actually ordered was some 100, some 115s and 150. And what they did was they sent out all 150 and no 115s at all, which normally would lead to people, you know, sending it back. But because they charged me for 115, I thought I'd keep the extra 15 millimeters for myself. Well, for my bees actually. It's cold in here again today. Comes to actually doing the seal between the two, there's a few things that I could have done that I chose not to do. So one of the things that you could do is you can rebate between the upper box and the lower box. So all you do is you do a rebate like this, and then you do one on the opposite face for the next piece of wood, and then they would slot together. It's a lot of work for something that really doesn't need to be done. The other thing, of course, that you can do with these here is you can do a finger joint. Once again, I love finger joints as much as the next person, but they're just not necessary. I'm sure that bees appreciate living in a house that looks absolutely beautiful. But if you give me a choice between having an absolutely wonderfully made, beautiful finger jointed hive or 3 of these, I'd go with the 3 every time. There we go. So that's actually pretty rigid. That's good to go. And all we need to do is just the last one. Is off a bit there, isn't it? That is very strange. That I'm just going to do this on the floor. It should be fine. Put your rebate in the correct position again, and if we have a little look, it fits perfectly there. Is that the one that was a bit high? No, that one was. That's correct on that piece. That can't be right. Strange times. All you want to do is make sure that it fits though with this edge here. double-edged. Right, so let's connect it to this first then. Okay, that's fine there. So this is going to be a little bit different. Try to get the glue to the end. Just smear the glue on there. There we go. Fantastic. That's actually pretty accurate, so I'm quite pleased with that. The edge is a little bit off. So the bottom edge looks pretty good. I'll line that up. It's on there as well now. What has happened with this one? Which does help. That would slightly then. So all I want to do is just push that out a touch. There we go. Whilst I've got it pushed out with my thumb, we'll just quickly screw it together. Brilliant. Last but by no means least, this edge. What I'm going to do with this, just going to quickly get that on there. All that glue runs everywhere. And when the stuff becomes cold, it's just the worst. Right, we're good. You just want to discourage it from running, but it will do. Almost no matter what you do. Then we're going to do the same thing again here. So it's a case of doing that on there. these together somehow. Easier said than done for some reason. This one is most definitely more of a battle. It's usually because your wood's out of alignment, which I think in this case it is out of alignment, because this edge is aligning much better. So, with that being the case, we'll work with the edge that aligns better first. Oh, there we go. Right, okay, let's try just aligning that better. Straight now. Okay, right. So I'm going to get one screw in, I'm going to have to work the rest of it out as I go along. Once that's in, more or less, you can remove your thumb. That should hold it in position. It does. These screws, and the reason why you want one of a certain length, have that clear shank there, and the reason that that's useful is it actually allows this end to drive into the wood, and this will then drag the other piece of wood with it. If you have a full length, what it will tend to do is it will tend to hold it, so any gap between the two pieces of wood will be maintained rather than being removed. It's going to be more fun. Oh, hold on. Let's work in the middle. That makes more sense. Right, middle. Here we go. Right. Go. Okay, so that's it. That's it finished off. Dead easy to build. Really cheap to build. Although you have to be careful of that, because obviously I've been bitten by the fact that it was cheap to build, with the fact that this is off a bit. But the bees won't mind. They can weather that quite easily. These are going to be substantially longer than this, but a good test is just to see how well these fit in. What I don't want to see, that nearly made me a little bit nervous. Yeah, that's close. That is close. That is very close, actually. That's great. There is a recess there. That's very, very close. Yeah, a bit disconcertingly close, that. And what I'm talking about is you can see there's a recess there, so I can actually put hessian over the top. With this one, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I get a feeling that it might be something to do with this. It was a bit lower than I would have wanted. I always make frames with slightly thinner tops as well, that would work. Let's try the other side. should be exactly the same as that side, so it doesn't make much sense. It's exactly the same kind of problem. Yeah. Strange. Because that was a thin edge. That was a thick edge. That's the thick edge, and this is the thin edge. Oh, I know what it is. As we've routed. Oh, of course, because my table's not flat. The table has a bow in it. So sometimes you come across these problems, which is you'll end up with quite a deep cut at one end and quite a shallow cut at the other end. And that's exactly what we've got. Could be worse. Could be worse. The bees can make this work. Likewise, I can make this work as well, so we shouldn't have any real problems. And if I do sand this down a little bit, it'll net me that. It'll get rid of that. So that's good. At least this fits in, which is good. And that is as tight as I would ever want to go with that. But that's your layens to give you an idea of the kind of size of it. That's the kind of size there. The glue has its uses. The problem is that it contains biocides in it. And the biocides are to kill bacteria, fungus, viruses. Not really relevant in glue, I wouldn't have thought viruses. But the problem with that is that, of course, it won't discriminate. So the kind of funguses, yeasts that the bees find useful, it'll also kill as well. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it's so brilliant at waterproofing anything you make that it's almost essential. But yes, that's the kind of size of it. It's double depth, so it will be twice the depth of this. So there we go. That's the kind of depth you're looking at. So it's a really, really big hive. The combs, of course, there we go. And as discussed previously, the biofloor is going to go there. So that's everything there. Now I'm going to make the other box and see how they go together. Fingers crossed they do. Just move that out of the way for now. This one should be substantially easier to make. These are definitely off though. Yeah. With this one though, this one will be the floor. And the key is that the floor can be as uneven as you want, as long as you make all the uneven bits on the bottom. It'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's just quickly get this done. Cold in my nose and not having a good time with it. Well, the cold is, my nose isn't. I'm just going to kind of rush through this. Say rush, this drill currently doesn't do rush, so. countersink should all be fine. Have I filled it that side? Okay. Let's not put a nice hole in my Right, I just need you to do this side now, that's all, and then I'll put you on charge then. Charge. That's good. There we go. Okay, so that's all done there. They should be fine. Reeser cutters, like I say, don't actually need a countersink at all. But, it's a good call to have one on there because it just stops it splitting, which it can do if you're not careful. How far these are going to be off each other. They're not bad. They're not bad at all, so that's good. Like I say, you want to make sure that your extra bit is on the same side the whole way round, because if you don't, when you come to put these together, you will end up with a gap. So extra bits at the top, extra bits at the bottom, no extra bits in the middle. So I'm going to put my extra bits to that side. That's not ideal, but we'll roll with it. Okay. I've got enough screws to do one of these. What I was thinking there. Hit the end right, the middle bit will be fine. Go straight to a knot, which is never brilliant. There we go. This this, when it comes, will be their internal living quarters. So there we go. Now, as you can see, that's what you want. You don't want any kind of overlap as such. Not overlap on the outside, but it does a little bit on the inside. Infuriating, but you can get past that. It's not huge. And the overlaps at the bottom there. So that will have wood fixed on the inside plane there, so that's not really important. We need to go get some more screws though. Should be plenty. This is the amount I should have done. Should have done it in the first place, really. Okay. So we'll just continue the process. You've always got to be mindful as to which side you're working with. You don't want to end up with any kind of disjoint on both sides. Then you are going to have to get out your plane and really give it a good going over to get it correct. It's correctly aligned. Feels strange. Well, these pieces are all correct. I think these pieces of wood. That side's definitely going to be wrong because that side's bent right out. Okay, let's see what we can do with what we've got. This is one of the advantages of Warrior actually. Because the Layens Hive is much smaller in dimensions, any problems with your wood, unless they're huge problems, I have had that as well, but they tend to be much more forgiving. When it does go wrong with Warrior, though, it's an absolute nightmare because the hives are so small. But a large gap tends not to disappear. It's such a large part of the frame itself. Whereas with this, even the hole at the top, the bees probably wouldn't bother with it. And if they would, they'd probably just wax it up. Although they do like to have a second entrance, so my feelings are that what they probably do is just use it as a way of coming and going, which is problematic if you wanted to keep them on one plane, if you wanted to have one plane of them coming and going. If you're happy for them to make up their own ways of doing things, then it's perfect. This is really good actually. This is much better than my other one. So I should have used these cross pieces for that one. opposite problem here, in that this seems to bow out a little bit. There we go. Once you've done one or two, it's a lot easier to do the rest. I mean, that was so accurate. We strangely didn't even have to worry about the lack of it all fitting together, which was refreshing actually. We're not going to get away with that on this one though. Whoops. That'll teach me to keep an eye on things. I get the feeling this one's not going to be anywhere near as charitable. That one is definitely off. So the bottom is where we want it aligned. Okay. I do just need nothing. I thought I'd finish with it, but obviously. Right. Goes in correctly. Yes, it does. We'll get it all glued up. Rough sections must be down to our cutter. Right, there we go. Bring this all back together. Done, which was incorrect, is I've aligned this to the top when it really needs to be aligned to the bottom. So let's just have a go at doing that. There we go. Right, perfect. That's aligned to the bottom now. adjusted. That edge is done. Now we've just got one more. This one here. And I think the way I did it the first time was actually much better. I think doing it like that was much better. Okay, I'm going to work to this edge, which is the non-fitting edge. Let's see, do these fit together correctly? They do. Okay, fine. Fine. Glued really don't want to behave itself on that one. Right. Another go at that. Seems pretty accurate. If I can screw this on without losing that accuracy, it would be the ideal. It's easier said than done, unfortunately. Because lower it. It's a pretty good alignment on these, actually. It is. I think we don't have to use the screws to hold this together because I don't think it's going to do it by itself. So I use the screw, take it a little bit in, and you can release the clamp. And that did drop. I saw it drop a bit. It did. Because it wasn't in. That was really weird. What happened there? Oh, there we go. Okay. It is a bit off. And we do the same thing. We're just going to have to hold that up to there. It almost kind of pulled out, which I was really surprised about. That's fairly accurate now. Joys of shooting from the hip when woodworking. There we go. So that's all done. There's a base to go in, which shouldn't be anywhere near as difficult as building it is. There we go, and this is the top. I tend not to build them I tend not to build them totally because they're so unwieldy. They're not very heavy though, which I'll give them that. So that's the hive itself. And actually that's a pretty nice fit on top. Yeah, if we just pull that round there, then we've got that over there. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. There's a little bit of an overhang at the back, and a little bit of an overhang at the front. So these are a bit longer than these. But there didn't seem to be any major bit of a hole there. But you can probably pull that down, paint it and glue it, so it should be alright. That's pretty good actually. Considering that wood wasn't perfect. There is this giant gap here. Bees will just use that to come in and out, so I'll probably just put the entrance here anyway, and they can use an entrance halfway up, or they can use that. Proof of the pudding though, unfortunately, is always in the eating. And what we do have to check is whether we can get a frame all the way down. And we can. So there it is, and we managed to get the frame all the way down it. I'm guessing these are not going to come back out then by the looks of things. The whole idea is that they're meant to be removable, but I think that's going to be very, very difficult to achieve actually. Oh no, too bad. Seems to be a lot more difficult at the front for some reason. Just move that across, that'll make any difference. Wow, okay. The fact that that is narrower by that much is the problem. It is a problem. I don't understand why it's narrow, because it should have all been cut to the same size. There we go. Wow. That is something else. That is something else. That's jammed on there. It looks to be in one particular place, so it may be that it's a knot, or it may just be that it's that. And the top one was the right size, but the bottom one wasn't quite. Well, I mean, what we could do, and what we're probably going to have to do then, is just make these a millimetre smaller, and it'll just bring that frame in just a touch. And if we do that, it'll fit perfectly. It's a bit annoying to have to do that. It could be worse. And at the back, there's no problem at the back. At the back, it's fine. They go down a treat. They do. Still only a millimetre thickness. But the front is most definitely a problem. Once you hit that second section, yeah, it's a real shame. It is. I wouldn't mind. That's a millimetre in as well. It's that there. The other side doesn't have the same problem as such. No, and neither does the back, strangely. Oh no, the back doesn't have that problem. Actually, at the front, it's that piece of wood there. It's that. Yeah. Add another piece of wood. I could replace it, but I don't. So we're going to have to just roll with that. Probably going to end up having to make some more of these frames, I think, and having them fit in. I can use the 5 I've made. I can use for the back. That's perfect. And for this section, I think it's from about this knot onwards, we're going to need some new ones. But there we go. Just to give you an idea of the kind of size that you're looking at. This is it. So it's a huge hive. It's absolutely superb. I've got two of these now. I'm hoping to make some bait hives based on this. Same dimensions, so same dimensions as this. Well, same dimensions as this, not that. And then they'd be about 30 centimetres depth, or maybe not even that. I can't remember how many frames it is actually. I should have it written down somewhere. Oh, I do. I have this little guide. This is a Warwick kind of spacing system. So 5 frames is 192, 7 frames 264, and 8 frames is 300. 300. 2 frames is that. What's 4 frames then? About 150, wouldn't it? Something like that. I do have one with it written out for every single number of frames. Well, 5 frames is 192, so 192. I'll probably go with 5 frames for that then. It's probably about half of this. That's all that would make sense. But yeah, I'm hoping to make some bait hives. They'll be quite roomy like that, but they'll have very, very little depth. 40 litres is what you're kind of looking for. So this area here will be 40 litres with very, very little depth in there at all. But that's my Layens Hive. Kind of part finished. Like I say, next thing now is we'll need something simple. Telescopic roof. But the next thing now is just to pop a base on. Just to pop a base on here. And pray that overnight it stretches a little bit and we can actually get these frames in. Or whether it's the whole thing. I mean they do fit. It's there, it's that section there. I get a feeling it probably just bows in a little bit. I know it's that whole front section, isn't it? It'll go in. But it's very, very tight. It is. And it's impossibly tight there. Wow. Okay, it is this section at the front. Because that is a millimetre off that. That would do it. Let's assume that this frame doesn't bend out actually. Not sure about that. It does. Probably found the same problem with all of them. Yeah. We're just going to have to knock a millimetre off, I think. Yeah. That's fine. It's not ideal, but you can find a way around virtually every problem that you come across in beekeeping. So this will just have slightly smaller frames on it. It does defeat the whole point of it really, in that the frames are meant to be interchangeable between hives. They will be interchangeable between this hive and bigger ones. They just won't be interchangeable the other way around. And you can force them in, but not something I'd recommend. I shouldn't have run it so close to the edge really. But these just need painting now. I would leave them to dry glue wise, and then tomorrow get them painted, get them ready, and then get them assembled. The way that they're assembled, just using these. I say these, where have I put the things for that job? I've obviously put them somewhere safe, which wasn't a smart move, unless these are them. I think these are them actually. Yeah, these are them. And all I'm going to do is use these. They're my 50s. No, they're not my 50s, are they? Where are they? There's some 50s that I use for all my jobs. I suspect these might be them actually. I use them as runners for everything. Okay, it's more than likely we use these ones here. I do have a spare there as well. Oh no, these are my 50s. Oh, they are my 50s, yeah. I use these for everything. They're brilliant. Having spare pieces of wood that you can run anything along is just ideal. And all you do with these is they're just gonna go inside, and then we'll screw them on. Now, what I recommend with these, the inside of this hive doesn't seem to be straight, unfortunately. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to fix it on with a clamp, and then clamp both ends, and to get it to go straight. The joy of your wood not being as expensive as. Well, it was jolly. It wasn't cheap though. But that's that done. I'll come back once it's painted. When I start doing that, when I start making the actual telescopic roof, all the rest of it and the base, we'll come back and we'll revisit that. I'm going to run through how I make these frames as well. You'll see how I make slightly different size frames to these ones though, because these touch too big. But that's brilliant. Thank you very much.